provided to make it easier for people who couldn't understand the French that was going on, or the English, or what, the German, or whatever. It made the meetings perhaps a little longer, a little heavier. It was also very helpful for me taking the notes, as I know several languages. I could, if I hadn't picked it up in one language, I might sometimes be able to pick it up in the next. But that is how the council's meetings went on, like that. I can't tell you much about the other general activities of IEF, except there was quite a lot of accent put on the theological team and what they were supposed to be doing. There was an awful lot said about sending letters round that could link us, theological letters or Christian observations from lay people, not necessarily clergy. And I don't know whether very much came from that, which we hoped at that time it might be a regular feature, a sort of permanent feature of IEF, the sharing of thoughts between the regions.
I see. Did you notice differences in the conferences depending on the place where it was organized? For instance, in Spain or in Britain or in Germany, where I suppose there were some differences in the organization. Did you experience it, or is it?
The actual lectures. Are you talking about the actual lectures?
Yes.
Yeah. Or the conference as a whole?
The conference as a whole, yes.
Yeah. Well, yes, of course, they always had the character of the place they were in. Well, that's what made it rather nice, because we made the IEF Congress our summer holiday. For us it was uplifting, but at the same time an opportunity to find out other things about another region, another country, and there was always a little bit of the touristic element attached, and still is. But that was not the main purpose for going. But I don't know whether I can say very much about that. They were always very much IEF wherever we were. One thing I've always rather regretted, that amongst the lay people, the women seemed to be too much in the majority. Some of the women turned out to be religious, sisters. You didn't always know they were nuns until you got talking to them. But for the men, it was always rather obvious there were not an awful lot of committed laymen, men, as members. There were clergy from a variety of denominations, from Orthodox to an ordinary clergyman for an Anglican or Protestant. Of course, the Roman Catholic priests were there, but you got a bit of everything. But what I thought we've always needed in IEF, and we had more in the old days, we had more, I think, more laymen. And I can remember younger laymen too from Belgium taking part, and we miss them. It's a little bit too feminine or theological.
As to the president of IEF, since it is a lay organization, do you think it's normal, or it would be good that a lay man or lady would be president more than, because the last years it was always a theologian or a priest who has been the president. I don't know if there are some remarks about that, or is it...
Well, I always think the change is good, and so you mustn't have too many clergy and then perhaps not too long a succession of lay people. I think it must be both, and I think perhaps it is time for a lay person to take over the rather important role of being president of the association. Yes.
I see. So some minutes ago you heard the interview of Maria Loze-Fraser, who is calling upon lay people to discuss with theologians about the evolution of the basic values of the denominations.
Well, yeah.
What do you think about it? Can we as lay people comment, or when we discuss with theologians the practical sides of the new rules?
Well, I hope today that all our clergy and our church authorities realize, and I think that has come considerably, they realize they must listen to the grassroots. The grassroots is a good expression in English for the sort of you and I description of the person in the pew, as we used to say. The ordinary members of our churches have their word to say, and we want to be listened to. And I think that we lay people can bring much about daily living into the theological discussion. That's something I've always tried to do, to get down to the basic applications of our Christian beliefs and our convictions and our witness down to practical everyday living. And I do find that happens in IEF, but perhaps it can be more so. And particularly I find it necessary in the discussion about intercommunion. I tend to get impatient when we have this problem, and it comes up every now and again at IEF, like in Trier. It is an important discussion. How must we extend or not extend hospitality at our Lord's table in our congresses? It is a problem, but I find sometimes it gets over-theological and not enough seen from the point of view of ordinary people. And I think it is so important that ordinary people have their say about intercommunion. I mean, there may be plenty of lay people who are just as, how shall I say, reticent about suddenly plunging into intercommunion as the theologians. There will be. But there are many, many, many more lay people today who find, what is all this discussion about? We're all members of the one Church of Jesus Christ. And for me, it is more clear every day that going to communion, or recognizing the communion services of others, the Eucharist, is a matter of obeying. Don't get me wrong, I'm not decrying all the deep significance of the Eucharist that we have developed in our various theological interpretations. I'm not denying the value and the importance of all that. But for me, the first place as Christians to the Lord's Supper or to the Eucharist is a matter of just obeying Jesus, doing what he told us to do. He didn't say think this or think that. He said do this in remembrance of me. And I was brought up, as many Christians were in the old days, with the sort of idea that we've got it right but they haven't sort of attitude. And this is wrong, because whoever comes together to break bread and to drink the cup in remembrance of Jesus' sacrifice as a memorial is doing, in the first place, just as it is not just a memorial. That word, I may not use it. Excuse me, I should not say that. It was wrong. People told me, oh, for them, it was this them and us attitude. And that is what worries me between Christians today. And thank God, this has improved a lot. It is improving in our world, and particularly in IAF, this us and them attitude. That has gone a long way in IAF, God be praised. But it is still, the tendency is there, the us and them attitude. And when I was told by other Anglicans, yes, but those people down the road with their church, for them it's just a memorial, that is a dreadful thing to say. You cannot say it's only a memorial, because whatever is happening there is an obedience to Jesus Christ, even if we don't go quite so far in all our interpretations.
Well, let's hope that the church of tomorrow will be, how would we say it? Unified is perhaps too strong, but more tolerant. Can we say tolerant?
Well, have more understanding, yes. Tolerance is part of it. But trying to put yourself in the place of the other person, yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.